All right, what's going on, everybody? I hope everyone's doing well and everyone's safe. Hot off the presses from Sky Sports. According to Eddie Hearn, this has just been released. He says it's fair to say that in principle, both guys have agreed to that fight. 2 fights, according to Eddie Hearn. And he also goes on to say, we're making great progress. We have the Dillian White mandatory, which is due before this fight. It's fair to say Joshua and Fury are in agreement regarding the financial terms of the fight. We've been talking to Fury's management team and TK, giving them the assurances from Joshua's side that all the details on the structure of the deal is approved from our side, and it is from Fury's side as well. We're in a good place. It's fair to say that in principle, both guys have agreed to that fight. 2 fights. There's a lot to overcome in the meantime and moving in the right direction. I'm confident that both guys have given their blessing for the fight to go ahead. The point of Fury, Joshua, and the teams agreeing to the structure of the deal, the first fight could happen next summer. It will be 2021. There's a big period of time where White should get his shot at the title. That's important to us. The main positive news is that Joshua and Fury have agreed to a 2-fight deal in essence. The most difficult part of any deal is the financial element. I believe we're in a great place where both guys have agreed to what that should be. We have not signed contracts because there are still things to be worked out. We're pushing towards a place where they can be drafted for 2021. Both guys are in agreement. The structure of the deal has been put forward and agreed to by both parties. There's a model in place that both parties are happy with. It's the biggest fight ever in British boxing. It doesn't get any bigger, and there will never be a bigger fight in our generation. 2 guys, very different, who fight differently, have experienced different things, and have come back from adversity. Okay. And then he also says, in regards to the location, he said, from a common sense point of view, without not knowing how a deal works, everyone will say Britain is the place to hold the fight, but it is the World Heavyweight Championship. There will be all sorts of offers from across the world. They have been already. The venue is another obstacle to overcome. It's not about me or Matchroom. It's about getting the fight made. Okay. So I think Bob Arum chimed in here with his top ranks. Bob Arum, who promotes Fury in the U.S., previously told Sky Sports, I don't think the negotiations would be fraught with difficulty. We could negotiate the deal if we met in person over the course of one day. We are not known for playing games. We understand Eddie. I've worked for many years with his father, Barry. My prediction would be we get a deal done over the course of one day. And Joshua also said, logically, to prove yourself as number one, I have to fight Tyson Fury. He has to fight Anthony Joshua. What will it prove? Me and him fighting, there will be one dominant figure in the heavyweight division that will all have the belts and become undisputed. And the Fury chimed in with, all's going well, God willing, we get on the big fight with me and Joshua, the all-British showdown, and I can give the fans what they want to see, especially the British fans. So Fury confirmed the agreement with Joshua via social media, the 2-fight deal with Fury Joshua next year. One problem, I've got to smash Wilder. Then we go into Joshua fight. It's on next year, but there's a hurdle in the road called Wilder. All right, so there's a lot to unpack right now, man. A lot to unpack. First of all, what's the sense of even putting this out there when there's so much more work to be done? I understand that you want to get people excited. You want to promote the fight for the future. You want to get people talking about it. But once again, for me, from my vantage point, I don't like when they start talking about future fights. I've never been a fan of fighters and promoters talking about future fights when guys already have fights lined up down the road, and they have significant fights lined up down the road. And you don't want the fighters themselves to take their eye off the ball when they got fights in front of them and look past their opponents, because we've seen it done in the past. Anthony Joshua himself, when he lost to Ruiz, basically was saying that he was thinking about Wilder too much. He was dealing with all of the Wilder questions. He was focusing on how good Wilder looked against his fight with Dominic Brazil, and he had in his mind that he had to outdo him, so there was a lot of pressure on him. So why would you put yourself in that same situation again? He's got a mandatory against Kubrat Pulev coming up. Tyson Fury has got a fight against Deontay Wilder coming up, the third fight. Do I think both guys will win, meaning Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua? Yeah, but I also thought Anthony Joshua was going to beat Andrew Ruiz as well. And we saw what happened there because he took his eye off the prize and started thinking about Deontay Wilder instead of Tyson Fury. Excuse me, instead of Andrew Ruiz. Now I'm getting ahead of myself. So he wasn't focused on Andy Ruiz. I don't care what anyone says. That's just my opinion. Obviously, I think he looked past him. That's not taking anything away from Andy Ruiz. He did what he had to do. But, you still have Dillian White, who's hungry right now, who's going to be Fury's mandatory. But we all know how the WBC works. Will they screw over Dillian White to put on this unification? If this unification can get done before this Dillian White fight gets negotiated? No disrespect to Mauricio Suleiman, but again, when you read their bylaws, when you read the rules of the organization, even if you're a mandatory, the WBC still reserves the right to issue that mandatory whenever they want to. So they could push the mandatory back again, and Dillian White could get screwed over again. And for what? Money. Guys, it's always about the money. And we have to admit that. We can't be naive about that. So, in my opinion, I don't like that they throw these little feelers out there now. They're throwing us a bone right now. And for what? For what? Because just because you say you're going to do something, if nothing's on paper, what does it all mean? What if Wilder upsets Fury? What if Pulev upsets Joshua? Then, because you release this information, you know what people are going to say? You open the door for alibis. Oh, well, they were thinking about each other. They were looking past their opponents because they were thinking about the two mega fights that they could have with each other. And this is why we are where we are right now. And it happened. We saw when all the talk of Wilder versus Joshua, that went down the tubes because Wilder lost to Fury and Joshua lost to Ruiz. Now Joshua rematched Ruiz and won, but then Wilder ends up losing to Fury after that. So then that fight can't get done. So it makes no sense to put headlines out there now. You don't see Bob Arum talking about stuff like this right now. Obviously, he says a deal could get done, but he's not putting all this out there saying like, oh, we have a verbal agreement. Like, what does that mean? What does a verbal agreement mean in anything in life? Well, if it's not down on paper, there's no details. I could tell you anything, but if I don't put it in writing and you don't sign it and I don't sign it, it means nothing. So Eddie Hearn does whatever he has to do, it seems, to just keep himself and his fighters and Matchroom in the headlines. And I understand what he's trying to do. But at the end of the day, at this point in time, does it really make sense to do this now? Does it really make sense to do this now when there's so much that lies ahead for both guys? You're talking about a fight this summer. Right now, you're talking about a potential fight that could happen next summer, which is a full 12 months away. And as I said, I don't want to keep repeating myself and sound redundant. Anything could happen in the next 12 months. So to sit there and say that, oh, we have a deal done in principle, does the information even need to be, released and put out there right now at this point in time? So again, Tiny Tim says Fury has announced it too. Yeah, he confirmed that. He confirmed it too. What difference does it make? I'm not. Hold on for a minute. I'm not saying that, anyone should be doing it. I'm not condoning it from either side. You always have to make it this Eddie Hearn versus Fury versus. Enough with the tribalism. Okay, enough with the tribalism. Eddie Hearn was the one that got the ball rolling, and Tyson Fury just confirmed what Eddie Hearn had said, that they're talking. It's the hypocrisy. Here's the problem with it. It's the hypocrisy. Oh, we don't want to negotiate fights in the press. But what do people do? What do promoters do? This era of social media, you're negotiating a fight in the press. Why talk about something right now and put it in the press and negotiate a fight in the press, which never goes well? Which never goes well. Tiny Tim, I already read the article where I quoted Fury as saying he had confirmed it as well. I don't understand why you would have to say it again in the chat, with all due respect. Oh, Fury said it too, B. Like, no shit. I already confirmed that, and I said that was the case. So I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're trying to get at. Tiny Tim reminds me of those guys, those people in the press that go to the press conferences and ask those gotcha questions. That's what Tiny Tim reminds me of. He's like that guy that always wants to stir controversy. He wants to make an argument out of something that doesn't really need to be made an argument of. Maybe I'm misreading the situation, but that's what I'm taking away from what you're doing, Tiny Tim, to be honest with you. That's just my opinion. I'm sorry if I'm mischaracterizing your motives here. That's why I love this chat. Drop a link in the chat. See who wants to come on. Anyone want to come on and talk about this with me? Am I right? Am I wrong? Should I even care? Okay, here we go now. You're making it an argument, not me. Okay. You, Tiny Tim, you win. How's that? You'll have the last word on it. You win. So I dropped a link in the chat if anyone wants to hop on and talk about this. Yeah, so like I said, putting the cart before the horse, talking about it. This fight, once it's announced, it doesn't need to have these headlines, get people excited. And then if something does happen to stop the fight, then you open up the door for the excuses, like I told you, like I said before. You don't want to do that. You do your fighter a disservice when you say that we got the big fight done already when he's got another fight in front of him before the big fight. You're giving him an avenue and an excuse to lose focus. That's like if you have a job to do and then you're thinking about getting promoted, but you haven't finished the job you have in front of you. So you're saying to yourself, well, I'm not really concerned about my job right now. I want to take it to the next level. I want to become a manager or supervisor. I'm already above doing this menial labor work. So why should I have to do this menial labor work? And then you end up not giving it your all, saying I'm too good to do this. And then you start neglecting it. And then what happens? People look at your current work performance, your supervisors who told you that we may promote you. And then they see that you kind of fell off a little bit. You weren't focused because you were thinking about the other job more so than the job you had in front of you. And what happens? We made a mistake. We don't think it's a good time to promote you right now. Sorry. We're going to reconsider. So, yeah. So, Eddie Hearn putting this out there, talking to reporters, getting quoted from Sky Sports. You're getting the ball rolling, getting everyone's hopes up high. And then if something happens, like I said, it's just not a good look, man. It's just not a good look. You know? So I just think that Tyson Fury has to stay focused and Anthony Joshua has to stay focused. Because like I said before, Deontay Wilder, I think was somewhat compromised in the first fight. That's not to say that he would have won, regardless. But if Tyson Fury goes in there with the mindset that I'm just going to blow through this guy, and mentally he doesn't train as hard as he did for the first two fights, and there's any type of letdown, any type of complacency against Deontay Wilder, we already know one punch can change the fight. Now, did he get up from the punch in the 12th round? Yeah, he did. But is there a guarantee if he gets hit with that same punch again that he's going to get up? You don't know. You don't know. I would say probably because he's heavier now. He seems more durable. And he probably would. But psychologically, I just think that you got to stay focused for a guy like Deontay Wilder because one punch can change anything against that guy. Same thing with Anthony Joshua. Pulev is no slouch. He's got one loss, lost to Klitschko. He's a big, strong guy. He's got a good right hand. We all know that Anthony Joshua has a tendency to get hit with right hands. We all know that Anthony Joshua, his last couple of fights, has been hit with some good big shots. I don't want to speculate, but maybe, he's got some miles on him now. He's been in a couple tough fights, his last couple fights with Povetkin, with Ruiz. He took some serious shots. Even against Joseph Parker, he hit him with a couple good right hands. So we don't know, if Anthony Joshua has some chinks in the armor as well. Could he be ripe for another upset? Because he's the type of guy that he seems that he could be distracted. He was distracted by Wilder in preparation for the Ruiz fight. So why make the same mistake twice? Why put yourself in a situation where the same thing could happen again? You already said that I shouldn't have been thinking about Wilder. Now, going into the rematch with Ruiz, you said, I'm not thinking about Wilder. I'm not going to focus on Wilder. I'm just going to focus on Ruiz. So you should just be focusing on Pulev and stop worrying about. It's almost like these guys are thinking that they've already won their next fights, and they're just saying to themselves, I'm going to just move ahead as if those fights already happened. Like they're both foregone conclusions. So I don't like that. I don't like that. So I don't know what else I could say about it. You guys let me know what you think. Do I think that the fight would be easy to make? Yeah. Do I also think that you need a live crowd for this fight, like Bob Arum had said? 100%. I also think that this fight can't be on DAZN. It has to be on American pay-per-view to maximize the revenue. And I'm sure ESPN will be broadcasting the American pay-per-view portion of this fight. And Sky Sports will be handling the UK. Well, I don't know. Maybe Sky Sports see, here's another thing. Sky Sports and BT would have to work something out. I don't know how that. I can't even begin to think how they would work that out. You would think that maybe BT would get compensated to allow the fight to be on, Sky Sports pay-per-view. I don't know. So I don't even want to speculate. I don't even want to pretend I know what's going to happen. But I do feel very strongly that ESPN pay-per-view would have to be involved here to maximize revenue for the fight. This fight could be gigantic. They said before, a lot of people said that before, Tyson Fury versus Joshua would be a big fight in the UK, but Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua would be a bigger fight globally. I think Tyson Fury's done a lot to change things. I think he's put himself out there in the American public, the American mainstream media, by being on a lot of those talk shows on Fox, on ESPN, by being involved with WWE. He's immensely increased his brand. And I think he pulled way ahead of Wilder, even in the United States. I know people that were talking about the fight, the second fight. A lot of people were like, yeah, a lot of American people that I was talking to, a lot of American boxing fans, people in my office where I work, were saying, yeah, that Tyson Fury guy, he's funny. He's a card. He's a character. I like that guy. And a lot of people, believe it or not, were pulling for Tyson Fury to beat Wilder, even though Wilder was the American. No disrespect to him. So I think this fight with Fury and Joshua would be bigger than Wilder Joshua could have ever been. And another thing, too, is because boxing has been on the show for so long, fans are starving. They're starving for a big mega fight. And this fight, even though it's going to be a long way off, this fight would be just what the doctor ordered to get people's juices flowing. And I think people would go crazy. They would go nuts to be able to see a fight like this. They would be so excited, so happy to be able to see a fight like this. And I think, in my opinion, this fight, I could be crazy. I don't think it would break the Manny Pacquiao Floyd Mayweather pay-per-view record. But I think it's very, very possible that in the United States, this fight could do maybe 2.5 million pay-per-view buys. Maybe I'm a little bit over optimistic here. Maybe I'm overshooting my prediction a little bit, but I think it could do it. I think it could do like 2.5 million pay-per-view buys. I really do. It would be nice if Joshua came over here, and even though he lost over here, at least he can come over here and do some more promotion, come over here early. If these guys, like I said, I hate looking ahead, and I'm not happy about these guys talking about fighting each other now when they got these fights in front of them. But I guess Eddie Hearn did his job because he's already got me talking about it. He's got me excited. He's got me thinking about it, even though, like I said, I don't want to contradict myself. But on one end of it, I don't like them looking ahead. But on the other end of it, I'm already getting excited now about it if it were to happen, and I'm just looking at it and how it's going to be and how it would play out, and just I'm already anticipating the build up for the fight and how great an event would be, how great the promotion would be. And like I said, I think Anthony Joshua, he's the perfect guy to come over here early and just do as much media as he can. I know he doesn't like to do a lot of media, but Tyson Fury loves doing media. Deontay Wilder is another guy that has no problem doing media. I think if Joshua came over and did a lot of U.S. media, he would really enhance the potential interest and the potential revenue that this fight could generate. I think he would totally enhance both those things. I think it would be beneficial and conducive for him to do something like that, to be honest. So, like I said, my mouth's already watering. but I don't want to get my hopes up high just yet. And the curious thing is how the zone is going to be factored into all this. Will they even be around next year? I'm just not being a negative Nelly, but I'm just wondering, will the zone even be around next year? Number one. And number two, if they are around, how would they be factored into this? I think they would have to, Joshua's on a fight to fight, but would the zone put up a big enough offer where they could have some type of scenario where they could be involved in this fight somehow, some way? So I just think that would be interesting to see how this whole thing plays out with the networks, with Sky Sports and BT Sport. We already saw how ESPN and Fox were able to do business together and co-promote a fight together. We already saw how HBO and Showtime were able to do it a couple times with Tyson versus Lewis and Pacquiao versus Mayweather. So I'm sure that BT Sport and Sky Sport can work together to make sure this fight happens and there's no bumps in the road in terms of the broadcasting rights over in the UK. But let's talk about this fight globally. How many markets would be clamoring for this fight? And would Saudi, how big of an offer would Saudi put out there to get this fight in one of their venues in their country? How much would they put up to get a fight of this magnitude? They already put a substantial amount up, allegedly, for the Ruiz Joshua 2 fight. How much would they put up for this? Would they be able to outbid Las Vegas, New York? No disrespect, I'm sure they can outbid the UK stadiums because of it's just a different market. But I would love to see how Saudi would battle Vegas and New York. Is this a Vegas fight or is this a Saudi fight? I know the UK fans, with all due respect, they're going to say that it should be in the UK, but not if you want to maximize the revenue of the fight. You just can't put it there. You think about it, Wilder versus Fury 2, $17 million gate with 16,000 people, 16,500 people, $17 million gate. And then when you look at Joshua versus Klitschko, 90,000 seat stadium, $15 million gate. So that stadium had 90,000 seats and did $2 million less at the live gate. That's crazy. So it's probably not going to be in the UK. I think the two leading venues for this fight, or the two areas, I should say, who knows what the venues are going to be. I'm not even going to speculate and try to look that far ahead. But I would argue that Vegas and Saudi be the two front runners for this fight, without question. Vegas and Saudi would be the two front runners for this fight. And who's going to outbid who? That's a great question. Who is going to outbid who in getting this fight? Who's going to be the one to get the fight? That's the question you have to ask yourself. All right, guys. That's about all I got, man. I'm excited. But I'm going to say I'm cautiously optimistic about this news. And let's everyone right now together, everyone in the chat, are you ready? Let's all cross our fingers and hope that nothing happens to Fury. He doesn't lose to Wilder. And let's hope that Joshua doesn't lose to Pulev. That is, if you guys aren't Wilder fans and Pulev fans, because there's still a lot of Wilder fans out there. So I don't want to tell people, if you're a Wilder fan, don't be a Wilder fan. And again, I like Wilder. Don't get me wrong, but I love Tyson Fury. I'm a huge Tyson Fury fan, not only as the fighter, but as the man, the person. I still like Deontay Wilder, but I love Tyson Fury, man. Tyson Fury's been my favorite heavyweight since 2014, 2013, even. I've been high on this guy for about 7 years now. I think this guy's awesome. I love the guy. I really do. I'm a huge Tyson Fury fan. I love the guy, man. I think he's awesome. I really love the guy. I can't say anything bad about the guy. I love the guy. Can't really say anything about bad about Deontay Wilder. I'm just not a big fan of how he lost the fight, the way he took the loss against Fury. I wasn't a huge fan of that. I'm curious to see when Fury and Wilder stop promoting the third fight. I'm curious to see what Deontay Wilder says at these press conferences. And I'm curious also to see if the press will challenge Deontay Wilder and a lot of those excuses he made. We hear people in the press talk about how great they are, and we ask the tough questions. Let's see if you guys ask the tough questions to Deontay Wilder. Let's see if you guys ask the tough questions to Deontay Wilder during the build-up for the third fight between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. I'm dying to see. I'm dying to see if you guys are going to ask the tough questions. I'm dying to see if you're going to challenge Deontay Wilder on some of the excuses that he made in the second fight. And I'm curious to see the back and forth. I'm curious to see how Fury goes at Wilder. Just like when Roy Jones and Antonio Tarver fought in the second fight. And then the referee says to both fighters, "You got any questions tonight?" And then Antonio Tarver says, "Yeah, I got one question. Roy, you got any excuses tonight?" I'd love to see Tyson Fury do that against Deontay Wilder in the third fight. "Yeah, Deontay, you got any excuses tonight?" I'd love to see him do that. I'd love to see him do that. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in the chat. And as always, I wish you the guys the best. Thank you for the support. Make sure you join the premium membership. There's a lot of good benefits if you guys join the premium membership. There's a couple different tiers in there. Only costs you $2 a month to support the channel, and you get a lot of good perks and benefits in doing so. So I urge and encourage all of you guys to sign up and support the channel and continue to support the channel. I know times are tough right now, but $2 is nothing, and every little bit helps. If every subscriber could donate $2, it would be a huge help to the channel. Continue to buy new equipment, continue to use better software, continue to grow the channel. We're starting to make headway here, getting these up and coming fighters. We have a big surprise possibly next week. We may have a bigger fighter than we had in the last couple of weeks. No disrespect to the prospects that we have, but we may have a world champion on this Sunday. So I encourage everyone to join if you could. Gem J says, "I joined, but I canceled today. Has been the first day in a while I had time to sit down." Well, why would you cancel, Gem? It's $2 a month. I mean, I don't want to give you a hard time about that, but why would you cancel? $2 a month? That's divide that by 30 or 31, whatever. It's like 6 cents a day, bro. little disappointed to hear that, but what can I do? What can I do? All right, guys. Once again, thank you so much. Stay safe. Talk to y'all soon. Have a great day.